Hello, hello, and welcome. We are back. We're back for Training Tuesdays. We are magnet marketers and excited to be back here talking about what we've been doing for the last few weeks, which is attending some much needed social media days and connections with so many speakers and attendees and real life connections that we want to bring you what we heard, what we learned, and what we took away from some of those events. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. If we have not met, my name is Jessica Phillips with Now Marketing Group and the Relationship Marketing System. My awesome co-host back with me is Mike Gingrich. He is the president of Digital Hill, the co-founders of the popular apps Woftio, Tabsite, published author extraordinaire, and spoke at one of those social media days too, Social Media Week Lima. So Mike...
Not to mention the proud owner of 2 Mike Gingrich bobbleheads.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome. Do you notice the difference between them? Hold on, I got to grab mine now. Hold on. I got to grab this other one.
Yeah, folks, if you can take a look at these. They did a good job.
Look at that. Those are 2 different artists too. So that is awesome. Okay. We were like, we got to change it up a little bit. We were almost like made it a marathon runner guy, but we weren't sure. Maybe next year.
Right. No, so intricate detail, down to my soul patch and everything else here. This is
I love it.
The new one here. Yeah. So there we go. And
so I'll show you mine. This was the short hair, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And then I didn't have this one for the actual day, but here's the new one.
There it is. Very nice. Yeah. Yes, with the style.
And it has accessories.
Did a good job matching your hairstyle. Look at that. Oh, yes.
Look at it. Yeah. Accessorized. I love it.
Yep.
It's not quite the wine glass like Mia had in her business, but it's a microphone. I liked it. So team did a good job in picking those out, and I think the bubbleheads were a big hit. Those things are a lot of fun. So I don't know how we top it. Every year we're like, should we do something different? And we're like, you know what? Like what do you do from that?
Right. Where are you going to go? Right.
You're going to go from there.
Yeah.
Hey, Amber Rose, thank you for joining us. Thank you to all of you that are watching live. Make some comments. Let us know that you are here with us. We can give you a shout out. But yeah, thank you for joining in with us. So, Mike, this was your 4th year at Social Media Week Lima?
Wow. Yes. And all I can say is that your team is doing a spectacular job of growing it every year. And, by far and away, I think your best event yet. Not that the others, were in any way minimal, but this one just continued to up it a level. I mean, just like you said, what are we going to do with the bobbleheads? What's next kind of thing. But you found a way with the conference. I think that the team, speaker team that brought in, and just the value that was added. I know your numbers were up too from audience, and everybody that I talked to was having a great time. So that was a very positive experience, and again, all about equipping them and allowing them to have some firsthand, real interaction with, number one, what's trending, what's out there, what's new, but number 2, then to be able to speak to speakers who are getting around in other circles and connecting with a lot of what's happening online. So I think that was very valuable as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm actually just going to go live on Social Media Week Lima's page and just say a thank you to everyone. I still am probably going to do that today. This is my first week back in the office for the whole week, more than half a day since the conference 3 weeks ago. And from traveling, and we'll talk about that at Social Media Day San Diego and some Road to Social trips there. But this is my first full week back, and looking, just at the overall numbers of the conference, over 200, which definitely, we exceeded last year for sure. Over 20 speakers if we include the 18 keynotes and then the table talk presenters as well. 12 volunteers. Huge shout out to the AMA group at UNOH. Just blown away with the support of the Lima community and just everyone as a whole. I've heard the buzz about the conference in San Diego. People were talking about, oh, that's Lima, Ohio, and just grateful is the only word that comes to mind, because I literally had 4 months cut short of promoting this event while I was with my father, and I was literally kind of scared, like what was going to happen, right? And have to say I was blown away with just the support with my team and everyone that came together, and everybody just on the same wave. Good energy, good people, good topics, and a lot of great resources that were shared at the event. So I'm excited to see what next year brings, as we already started planning for it and already have some cool speakers lined up that we'll be talking about here coming shortly.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. And I think maybe today, one thing that you'll be able to bring, since you were, obviously in Lima, but then also in San Diego, is some of the commonalities, some of the themes that you heard that were similar. And again, I mean, this stuff never stops, folks. I mean, along the way, while Jessica's on the road, I mean, Instagram doesn't wait, and they launch IGTV, and boom. I mean, so we have big new features on Instagram.
Why don't you talk about that? I'm going to share it out, but what is IGTV for some people that may not have heard of it? Because it is new. It just rolled out actually when Social Media Week Lima was happening.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. So basically, they announced it during the conference that it went live, and they said it was going to be a slow rollout. So IGTV is a kind of like a television channel within Instagram, and hopefully you're starting to see that. Let's see. Okay, I don't know if I can get it on my screen there, but that little icon that is up near the direct messaging icon. So that's the IGTV icon there. And if you click on that, basically it launches like a television station. So just like you turn on a TV, you'll see what's happening and what's going on with people that you follow, what's popular on Instagram. You can search for things, but they're just they're scrolling across there, and it's big because now you can load up to 10-minute videos for general accounts, and it's going to be actually longer for verified accounts, but just think 10 minutes for now, and you load videos to this. So basically, it's taken longer form video and given Instagram the opportunity to do that in a channel format. So think of things like we've talked about when we do this with Facebook Live here every Tuesday, Training Tuesday, 4:00 on Eastern. So there's the opportunity to do the same type of thing, whether it's daily, whether it's weekly or something like that, but to have a consistency in your channel on Instagram. And so that is a new and powerful thing out. So, for example, so I had went on and uploaded a video earlier today, so you can see these pieces here, and then you can come back and continue watching them, and you can scroll through, and people you're following, there's different pieces in there that you can take a look at, but
and it stays there.
Yes, yeah. It stays there, and let's see. Also, I should show
the ability for links, which is huge. Used to have,
and it's now on your profile, so people can come back. If they come to your profile, they can come back and click on that and go into IGTV. So, I mean, this is a significant third tool within Instagram. I mean, they have the normal feed of Instagram where we spend time. Then, we've had stories, which continue to develop. And now IGTV, and as you said, links within there. So powerful new tool that Instagram released.
Yeah, it stays there, and links. You used to have 10,000 followers in order to get links in your video. This is a great opportunity, not just to go live and use it there, but also, like you mentioned, you can upload videos and have them there. Just one thing to remember, it's a different kind of format, so you are looking at it as a mobile user. Imagine yourself as mobile and you're watching it, vertical, where you're checking it out and watching the video. And so it's a different kind of feel. You're going to be up close and tight. So if you're uploading videos maybe that you had created on another platform, maybe like for example, if we were going to upload this, it's not going to look as good as it would if you were making it for Instagram TV. So make sure that you're uploading it thinking about the user experience, because I've seen some videos that have been uploaded from others and it cuts off some of the pieces, and it's not the same experience as if it were, created natively for that app specifically. But great, everybody's figuring it out right now. So I encourage you just to watch others, see what they're doing, test it out, play with it, see what's going to work for you and your brand, but a powerful new feature and ability to create video, which is definitely one of the themes that we heard a lot. Of course, we've talked about this, at Social Media Marketing World, that we heard that it's a lot, but that's definitely one of the themes that we heard again into Social Media Day at all the events.
Yep. Yep. And you know, at Lima, then, you know, of course, the theme was the human experience, and just, you know, humanizing social media.
Yeah.
What does IGTV do? I mean, right there it is. It's you know, that's an opportunity for you to for your brand to be real, for them to get to know you and to watch you again and again over time.
Exactly. And that is one of the things that was the differentiator of all the things that we've heard and talked about at different trainings and different conferences, of course, is the tools and the techniques, the tactics that you can use in order to get social. But what we wanted to do in Lima, and what we've heard is kind of a constant thread through all the social media days, is how do you take the tools but make it more human, make it personalized, make it about an experience, and how do you get real, you know, using this tool, giving people a connection and something they wouldn't have access to if they weren't, you know, there with you. So using video, but using it as a sense to build relationships. One of the conferences, Amy Schmidhauer, or Landino now, excuse me.
Yes.
She was speaking, and she was talking about everybody has a face. And that's what, you know, you have your face, and that's what video is about, connecting people to you, to recognize you, to create your brand, but also connect and build relationships through it there. I mean, video is that one humanizer that is going to give you a quick way of building a relationship, and for people to hear your tone, empathize, you know, with you, what you're saying, and connect with you that way. So using video to make meaningful connections, using social media to make meaningful connections is definitely an overall theme that we heard.
Yep. Yep. So, and I think, you know, another thing that we saw through the conference again is that social media enables you to have a lot of those early connections, to be able to get to know someone, to have that personalized experience, and then that is kind of like solidified, or it goes to another level then when you go from that online relationship to that in-person, you know, shake hands, give them a hug, that type of thing. And so, you know, that's what it is with the experience as well. People can find you online, and then when they have that opportunity to really connect with you, that can solidify it, because they're bringing those past interactions to now this present, deeper interaction.
Absolutely. So one of the things, and not to skip around, but to go to Social Media Day San Diego, that Tyler Anderson, it's his event. He kicked it off with his keynote, and I loved how he explained that the easy peasy cheesy way of doing social media is over. It's not enough to create posts and schedule them and put them out. It's time that we have to get our hands dirty. And granted, yes, you can schedule out posts and share your blogs and share your nuggets and everything there, but you have to spend some time getting your own hands dirty and personalizing your content to be meaningful, whether that's live video, whether that's, you know, using photos and behind the scenes access, whether it's getting your team involved and spending dollars on advertising. All those things have to be part of your social media strategy in order to differentiate yourself from another brand. In order to build those meaningful connections, you have to get your hands dirty. You cannot just set it and forget it. And he used a great example of actually fixing a grill that was in his backyard, and how he made a connection with the gentleman at the store, and how the gentleman, even though he was selling the tools there for him to do it, he actually knew how to use them and how to walk Tyler through it. So they had this connection, and they stayed in contact that way. He said it would have been one thing to go to another store and find something a lot cheaper and just be able to buy the tool, but not be able to know how to use it. But it's another thing when you can find the connection, make them meaningful interaction. And actually, Chuck was the gentleman's name. He was there at the conference because they had that meaningful interaction. It wasn't just about purchasing the thing. It was about having this meaningful interaction aside, you know, from it, which was why he was, you know, wanting to stay loyal to that brand to the end of the day.
Yep. Okay. You know, one thing that stood out to me from Social Media Week Lima as well, and that was Brian Fanzo. So, you know, even as you talk about easy peasy cheesy is done, Brian still gave a nice tactic on when you do the work, how you multiply the work. I kind of like that kind of effect where he talked about, let's say you know, what he does is he goes live, right? And that's kind of a live video, and then From that, he's going to download that. He's going to rip the audio from that and use that as a podcast episode. Then, he can take that video and also use that, break it up into some clips and some segments to use on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube as well. So he's kind of maximizing. So he's doing the work, and he's using the valuable tools like video, but he's doing it in a way that is multiplying the effect by using it on other channels. So I thought that's a great tactic. Everyone can learn from that, so that you're putting in the work, but you're maximizing what you have created.
You can go check out him on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook right now, and you see, if you were at Social Media Week Lima, actually on a lot of his channels this week already is some of that video footage that we just shared with him from the doing. Even though he's on the road and doing things, he's taking that content, he's breaking it up, splitting it up, and maximizing it by putting it on his channel, which is still him, using this content and being active, but multiplying the effect of it. So yeah, super smart there. Yeah. Some of the other, go ahead.
No, and his second point was that perfection is a fairy tale, control is an illusion. So you stick that, in front of you when you get ready to go live, because so many of us are fearful of exactly what that's going to look like, and is this, oh, maybe I stuttered too much, or maybe this, maybe that type of thing. But in reality, social media has brought reality. It's reality television, and so we have those opportunities now. So that perfection is a fairy tale. You can't just continue. You got to go live, and you got to talk straight through it, that type of thing. To have total control over that effect is an illusion, and we have to get past that and just be real, be authentic, and keep moving forward.
Yep. He talked about it's not just about building a website. Yes, you need to have that, of course, so you have your own home base that you own, but using social media to shrink the distance between you and your tribe, your connections. Use it as it was intended, to have the conversation and to be connected that way. That was definitely a great tip. He was talking about the omnisensory experience and how it's not just us looking at a website or watching television. We're using multiple things usually at the same time. We either have the television on and we're watching Twitter, or doing multiple things at the same time. So how can you create an omnisensory experience for your users through audio, visual, giving them access behind the scenes, that kind of thing. And then Angus, oh my gosh, I just love Angus. He came and he was talking about new marketing strategies to create brand influence and how to humanize yourself, honoring your humanity. So he talked about, do you have to have a target in order to, to retention? So figure out who you're trying to target, knowing your audience. Knowing your audience is key. We've preached this here time and time again, and I cannot agree more, that you have to know who you're trying to connect with, and who you're trying to have a conversation with, who you're trying to build a relationship with, and then go deep, not high. And he was talking about focus in specifically on the target and go deep on it versus just trying to be everything to everyone, and find the core audience who's using your product and, make them the hero of your story. Make them, shined in your content that you're putting out there, and really, going deep on who your audience is.
Yes, no, I mean, there's so many other ones. I mean, Damien did a great job with his topic, analog marketing, bringing human back, that connection there. Tiffany Lanier from Florida, humanizing video with your personal brand. And just a point that she made that really stood out to me, value your knowledge. I think that too many of us have a hesitation, and we devalue because it's so common to us. We think it's common to everyone, but it is not. So we each bring a unique perspective. We each have unique value to bring. So don't underestimate what you know about your industry, how you can help your customer, and be willing to bring that with confidence, because it's received, much more so than what you might expect. We have our own personal hesitations. We have to get past those.
Yeah. I love her approach to it. She talks about just being you and showing up authentically. Don't worry about all the tech and all that definitely, helps, but just show up and be you, and yourself and your natural environment, and people will connect with you.
Yes.
But yeah, she was great. Kathy Hackle, I think spoke in Lima, Ohio as well at Social Media Week Lima. And for our town, if you've not been to Lima, Ohio, it's like population 40,000, very small community, cornfields, trains. That's what we're known for. Definitely not airports, as all the speakers had to drive like an hour or 2 hours to get in here. But she came talking about augmented reality and virtual reality to this small town. And they were both freaked out, but also super excited. I think with her approach, she came, with her VR headset and was testing it out, and then showing people how you can give people access and how you can create empathy through using tools like virtual reality and augmented reality. So she was talking about how it's going to have, it's going to be huge in the next few years. It's bringing access, to everyone to be able to have more immersive experiences into brands. And, she used different examples that showed how, and actually Brian gave a good example of this as well. What was the brand? It was tequila. Who was it? Do you remember the brand of tequila it was? That he was showing, that showed Patron, I think it was, that it was showing how you can actually, they used virtual reality to go inside and show how the tequila was made, and how this is an example of a brand like using virtual reality and augmented reality to give access and show how something's made, so you feel like you're a part of that process and feel like you're a part of the brand.
Yep. Deep and rich. That's what augmented reality, that's what I took away from it, because it allows you to go where you physically might not be able to go, but to have that experience and to deepen that emotional connection to the product, to see it in the process.
And to explain it a lot more. So another example of this, one of our clients, they, Mr. Manhole, they have a tool that cuts perfect circular manholes, and it makes the process a lot easier for someone versus using like a traditional jackhammer. Well, to explain how this tool works can be kind of difficult. I mean, yes, you can show a video, but people, they want to know, like, what is this going to be like for me? If I'm going to spend and invest, in this tool, what's this going to be like for me? So what he's doing is actually created a simulation of them actually using the tool, and they could put on the goggles and actually be part of the live demonstration and feel like they're using the tool. That's a lot more, immersive and a lot easier for someone to understand versus just seeing a video or a pamphlet. So he's taking this to trade shows and allowing people to actually experience how to use the tool through using virtual reality that way.
Yeah, no, I think that's powerful, and it's, and again, something for businesses or organizations to be aware of, the possibilities that are just around the corner.
Absolutely. Brian Kramer, what'd you take from his session?
Humanize. So he is great at trying to, I think, kind of dissect or break down kind of the traditional marketing kind of methods. I mean, you're trying to reach, one-to-many type thing, and break that down into a way that how you differentiate and how you set yourself apart, by being human and bringing that human element into it. So it's not just a marketing plan, a marketing strategy, but it is a human touch point connection. So he just authentically exudes that, but in a very practical way. Gave some examples of how that you bring the human. When we say bring the human, it's kind of like, I think it's going more beyond the mind and to the emotional connection, and making that that connection happen, even though it is online.
Yeah. He's the godfather of the H to H, Brian
Yes.
Kramer. So H to H, human to human. He said it's not B2B or B2C. It's human to human. It's people dealing with people at the end of the day. That's what business is all about. And so how can you take your approach to what you're doing in your business and make it literally person to person? Forget about all the, bureaucracies, but just people dealing with people. So yeah, I love his examples of that. And like I said, he's the godfather of the H to H, and this whole conference was about the human experience. So I was super honored that he was there to share his wisdom with everyone. Mia Voss, I love her as well. She closed out the first day. We actually opened the bar up for her talk, but she talked about how to build a strong community and tribe online, aka how not to transact like an asshat. But what was your takeaways from Mia's?
Just love her ability to connect with the audience and to make it real, to be real out there. And, yeah, you can, I think, just kind of the ability for a strong community online by interacting with followers and that deeper level that she brings. So I mean, so somehow she's mastered, and she talked about that, but it's like it wasn't transactional, it was personal, and she's doing that on a one-to-many scale. So and yeah, I loved her example, kind of like the dating reference, quit trying to get to second base right away. But people like consistency, gratitude, giving more, taking less. And so it comes back to, authentic quality, adding value, good human nature.
Yeah, sharing, other people's content, supporting them, not just asking for things first. And it goes with your community as well. She's a living, breathing example of that. She travels around. She's what I would consider, an influencer, definitely in the space. So, she's built her whole brand on supporting others and highlighting what she believes in, and people now will pay her, give her vehicles like what she drove to Lima just because she's in it, explaining the value of that vehicle to her tribe, which she's built a good connection with. And now, people are more likely to trust that example than a television commercial, for example. So actually, micro influencers, that was a theme that I heard through a lot of the social media days as well. What a micro influencer is, instead of thinking like celebrity, mass celebrity that you have to pay to endorse your product, think of someone that already has the attention of their audience, whether that's even in your community or, an online community that already has the trust built with their audience and connections that you could potentially work with for your brand, product, or service, and what that would look like for you. So not necessarily paying someone just to promote your product, but find somebody that you could genuinely build a relationship with. They genuinely like your product and would be willing to share it with their audience. Think micro influencer versus, the big scale influencers that you would have to pay and endorse. But Instagram's a great example of this. YouTube, definitely a great example of this. But who could you send your product to that would be willing to potentially talk about it, and they are connected to their audience to build that faster, intro in to some of their audiences.
Yes. Jessica, I know we're getting ready to talk about day 2, and I'm not sure if he's still here, but if Mike Alton is still in the house, we might actually have one of the speakers from day 2 here right with us. And maybe we should invite him to give a comment, give a shout out. So Mike, we appreciate having you there, and how to create 10 times the content 10 times faster. I mean, who doesn't like that?
Mike had phenomenal reviews from his session. He talked about how to, another one of going deep versus wide, going strategic on your content and writing longer, more informative blog posts can win, both with search engine optimization, both with building trust faster because you're giving more access to something, you're giving more information. So we talked about, building your pillar content and going deep on that content. So finding out, how you can provide the best answers within a blog article in 1,000 words, 2,000 words plus on that article. And actually people do read longer form content when it's good. It can't be the fluff. It's got to be the good answer. So a lot of good information that Mike had shared. And Mike says, yes, I'm listening in. I loved all the speakers and the format.
Yeah, awesome. And he gave specific examples there about like breaking news and how he has done that, and then keeps adding information to that breaking news as it's available. So to be able to talk about that and to keep that out there. So that's something I took away that many businesses, brands can do. So maybe they're key in their community, and so maybe it's something that's breaking news in their community that they can talk about, or maybe it's in their industry, and those types of
Mm-hmm.
pieces. So there's opportunities if you stop and think about that. How can you be the newsjacking the first source that's there, and to be the one that people are coming to for that information, and then keep updating that's lengthening that post, that's getting great content out
Mm-hmm.
there by updating as more information becomes available.
Absolutely. And Ashley Thompson, she kicked off day 2, and she talked about whether you're in marketing or not, you're in marketing if you're in your business, because you know your business better than anyone else. And she shared an example of how she grew her brand 50 Strong with her husband, Brendan Thompson. And she talked about how she was using both online marketing and traditional marketing
Yes.
to grow their brand, and what that mix looked like for them, and their struggles, their triumphs, and that they kept showing up no matter what, but they knew their business and know their business better than anyone else. And that's your superpower as a business owner or someone within your company. You know
Yeah.
your business, so you need to get involved in the marketing because you know your business. Don't just, set it to someone else and say, hey, I'm going to pay you to market my company, and let them run with it. Get involved in the process. Do hire those people that can help you out. Like she talked about, she was working with the outside ad agency, and that helped, but she knew her business and she knew her customers. And at the end of the day, that's what helps them win, because they know their business, they know what makes them different, what makes them stand out, and they can bring that story to life then in the marketing that they're providing.
Yeah, quick story from Ashley there. One of the things that she shared that really resonated with me, because I'm a long distance runner, and she shared about how they were trying to get more connected deeply with Walmart. And so obviously with 50 Strong, they have these tremendous the water bottles, the ones that keep things cold, and so they sponsored the half marathon in Bentonville, Arkansas, which Walmart employees run in, and so there's a couple of keynotes, big brands, and 50 Strong. And they were there, but that's just, tremendously smart. They know that there's going to be Walmart executives who are participating. Walmart executives are going to see all this half marathon for Bentonville, where Walmart is headquartered, of course. Yeah. And so they tied those pieces together. And so, you had the half marathon, which was being promoted online, and in their community, and in their newspapers, and in their billboards. And then you had it there, and then you had Walmart staff attending. And so, and then they went and were there for it. And I think her husband ran in it, she said. So, they tie those pieces together. And that's what we're talking about is, being real and knowing your market, knowing your target, and tying those creative things together. She did an awesome job with that.
Yeah. Making a memorable experience for sure. And that's definitely the benefits of getting involved, for sure. Knowing that. Christian Betleon, he's someone that I heard at Social Media Strategy Summit, and invited him to speak at Social Media Week Lima, because I loved his approach about, thinking of psychology as it relates to marketing, and how to create meaningful, connections, and, create these experiences for people that are memorable, and that build your brand awareness. What'd you take from his session?
Well, yeah, I think that his was really good on the psychology of it. Just what takes place in the mind, and causes memory, causes an affinity connection. So I mean, it was just breaking it down really from a true standpoint of not just, hey, this feels good, and people are going to like you, but kind of some of the science of the psychology behind it. And I just thought that was powerful of what they're doing with Utz, right? UTZ, potato chips, brand, and how they're, really, again, just that word, humanizing that experience, giving people a connection to the Utz potato chip brand.
Yeah, phenomenal. Because that's what it really is about. It is about, marketing is really psychology, honestly, at the end of the day. But creating those, memorable experiences, and making your brand relatable to your end user is what it's all about. Which Bella talked about that as well, about Facebook groups. Shared her story. It was amazing how Facebook groups literally saved lives. But she talked about how to get within a niche of a group, basically, having a group around a passion or a purpose to make more meaningful connections and getting involved. What was your takeaway from Bella's session?
Yeah, I mean, and again, kind of following up on Christian, he was into the psychology, and here she brought in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I mean, who would have thought that some of these concepts that we had from college that we thought, psychology, sociological terms, we're never going to use those, and here they are. But she was talking about how love and belonging, and that's one item that Facebook groups can provide, and I really saw that. So there was. It kind of tied back to a piece that, Angus had brought through in some of their Facebook groups too. So Facebook groups offered an opportunity, both Angus spoke about this and Bella spoke about this, for really going deeper. And as you talked about that niche of a niche, but it allowed for a very high engaged community that, it was like a small group that was really open to share. And so that was people sharing things together, not necessarily, Bella needing to share things, but people wanting to asking each other questions, answering each other's questions, and wanting to interact there, which was ultimately good for that, pet business. People were talking, asking questions, but it was all within this community. And so there was a positive effect, back out towards the brand.
Yeah. And that's truly what it is. I mean, honestly, that's why people are on social. They want to connect. They want to be involved. They want to have a sense of belonging. So if you create the channel for them to belong and more like-minded people to come into that space, then it's going to grow from there, and you just nurture it. It's not that you have to be there to entertain. You're there to listen.
Listen. That was the key word. Yes.
You're there to, listen to your audience and then show up to help nurture those relationships and keep people growing and building from there. Let their relationships, kind of develop over time, and you're just there to support them and to, keep that tribe going. And supported that way. And that's where their relationships can happen. So we've heard a common theme throughout a lot of the speakers. Of course, that was intentional at Social Media Week Lima, but that didn't stop there. All of the social media days, really, relationships and creating experiences were a huge theme throughout. And they were really just breaking down the ways to do it, which was live video, Instagram video, which I know Jeff DeHaven closed one of the closing sessions on day 2, which he was talking about Instagram stories and shared lots of ideas at how he was using Instagram stories and how he actually got his wedding sponsored, which I think everybody was like jealous of.
Right.
And wanted to, use some of those techniques that he was talking about. He was saying, have a separate strategy for Instagram than you do for Facebook. You don't want to continue just your Facebook posts over to Instagram, but you have a strategy there and you want to use it to give people access into your story, but then also making it engaging, ask questions. He used some ideas of how he's ran contests through there, how he's used video and created video specifically just for Instagram. And then he went through kind of the tools and the techniques of how to actually do that as well. Was there anything else that you got from Jeff's session that I missed?
Well, I just love that he drove in on a scooter. I mean, that was, just playing awesome there. And he's wearing his snap chat glasses, spectacles, snap spectacles. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have to share some links to the pictures. The even funnier version of the scooter was seeing Damien, which is like 6 foot whatever, on this little green scooter. I was like, oh my goodness. So yeah, if you were not at Social Media Week Lima to experience it, I will have to share a link to the photos so you can visualize the 6 foot whatever person on this little tiny green scooter and driving through the conference.
Yeah. So I know that we're going to run short on time because there's so much to talk about, but I'm kind of curious to hear any key takeaways that you heard from San Diego, things that were similar. Maybe you covered those, but also anything additional that somebody brought. So what other goodness did you get there?
Yeah, so from San Diego, there was a lot more talk on YouTube, definitely. So, Roberto Blake,
Yep.
Sean Cannell, I think is his last name, they spoke on YouTube, and they were talking about, we've talked about YouTube as well, but it's a search engine. It's the second most powerful search engine in the world. It is owned by Google. So, of course, you want to double down on YouTube. They talked about how you can use YouTube Live, also how to use YouTube to build a community using video as well, and how the strategy is a little bit different. So they did talk about some of the tools and techniques, but more about just how to get involved with YouTube, and that, not to discount it just because there's all these other ones out there. Because if search is your end game, you want to spend time on YouTube creating there. Billie Jean actually closed out Social Media Day San Diego. Phenomenal. If you've seen anything Billie Jean is marketing, he's energetic. He is definitely engaging, and he's a lot of fun. But he talked about why YouTube advertising is a big deal. And while everyone's kind of jumping on the Facebook bandwagon, you might want to start considering actually using YouTube advertising because of the impact that you will have. What was the stat? I'm trying to find the stat on YouTube. I had it on here. Okay, so he said YouTube advertising is significantly less expensive than Facebook advertising, and the cost per click has increased 90% year over year. So that's kind of a big deal. Billie Jean is marketing kind of his brand name. He was kind of known for Facebook marketing in the space, but then he's actually started now doing more on YouTube because of that change. So great tips there. Chelsea Croft talked about some micro influencers and also how to disrupt the market and make content meaningful on social. So she talked about her 6 C's: connect, communicate, crowdsource, collaborate, create content, and keep it consistent. So she talked about how her millennial chat, and how she was became known in the space just by connecting and using Twitter, really more than anything else to connect, because it's one-on-one, connections. It's very easy on Twitter to do that. So I really liked her chat.
Yeah.
And Logan Mayville, actually,
Okay.
I had met him at HubSpot 4 years ago, when it was kind of funny. Social Media Strategy Summit was looking for speakers, and they were asking me who I'd recommend. And I threw Logan's name and Tyler's name into the hat. They ended up speaking at this event, met each other, and then they were both, of course, speaking at Tyler's event. But Logan talked on Facebook advertising, and literally I thought I knew a lot about Facebook advertising, and then I listened to him and realized I don't know anything. No, I'm just kidding. But he actually did a phenomenal job talking about targeting your ads, and not to rely, especially after all the new Facebook changes, not to rely on the audience segments that Facebook provides, but to use more pixel-based segmentation. He talked about connecting Facebook pixels through that. Facebook allows you to build a lookalike audience for you, like by saying who's connected into your group, who's visited your website, and to create the lookalike audience custom for you, versus looking at Facebook's audience segmentation, like, when you're targeting moms and soccer moms and all that Facebook's giving you, that those insights may not be as good as they're saying, that you really want to create your own lookalike audience specific for your brand based on the pixel connections. And what's an easy way of explaining pixels, Mike, for those that may not know?
A little like snippet of code that you can add, and it'll tie through to the source of where the pixel was. So it allows for tracking purposes, being able to track conversions, or to retarget with a pixel. I don't know if that helps, that type of thing.
Yeah, no, that's a really good example and explanation of it. But think of it like Google Analytics, but specifically for Facebook, basically. But then, it's bringing that detail. I did see a question here in the comments that I want to answer before I move on, by Cameron. Hey, Cameron, thanks for joining us. And you're talking about closed groups versus private and public. Personally, I do like the closed groups, just because you have a little bit of control over who can join. And if you're really making it for a specific niche of individuals, then you can have some access and some control over who's joining and who's opting in versus, having everybody join in on it. There are those trolls out there that try to join into groups and then just blast their product. You have a little bit more control over it, but it's also searchable. So it's not the secret groups, right? So you can still find it, but then you can set up a questionnaire before people join in very easily and just ask a couple questions. I found if you just ask a couple questions before somebody requests to join, it does kind of weed out some of the people that are just trying to mass join every group. And when they do request to join, you can see what kinds of groups that person's already in. So it does give you some access to see how many groups is this person. If you see they're in hundreds of groups and all of them are unrelated, then it may not be somebody that's got the right intentions of wanting to join your group. But then you have a little bit more control over it. But that's a really big reason as well why you need a monitor or a community manager, if you will, that's going to monitor that group. Because if you're getting these requests in, you want to make sure that they're answered, responded to, and that there's somebody facilitating the conversation and relationships that are going on in your group. But that's my take on groups. I don't know, Mike, do you think open, closed, secret?
I mean, I think it all just depends on what the angle is, what you're trying to do with it. It's topical. So I think it does vary, but I know that, Angus is doing some great things with so the, basically public groups. I mean, you still have to be admitted to it, but people can see it, and they can say, I want to be connected to that, and that I like that one just because it allows you to get some information before you let them in, and some pieces about them. They can kind of go through that piece there. So I think it all depends on what you're trying to do, who the audience is, and what's going to happen in the group.
Yeah, it's really cool now. There was a lot of talks on Facebook groups as well throughout different social media days. And if you've been into your group as an admin recently, you see that they give you now tools to build in your group rules. So if you are going to have a public group or any kind of group, really make sure you go back and check out those group rules. They have some kind of built-in ones kind of made up for you, if you will, that you can get started with, but then you can add to it. So like a no spam policy, a respectful policy, be good to people. It's probably backwards on here, but, be good to people kind of policy built into those groups. So make sure you have some group rules. So if you are going to boot someone out, you have, you can say, hey, you're, going against Facebook or our Facebook group rules or policy that we have set up in place there. So go back and check that out. There's also some other cool things that have rolled out with groups as well, like the subgroups within a group. That's been out for a little bit, but I definitely still stand firm on my prediction for 2018 and beyond that Facebook groups are going to be a bigger deal, and that's going to be where people are going to be wanting to hang out to build those more meaningful connections.
Yeah, and just the notifications, different things that happen within Facebook groups that, and again, it fits with Facebook's philosophy of being a encouraging, connecting community. I think groups have that potential, so I think they're going to advocate for those as well.
Yeah. And that was another thing that was brought up that we haven't touched on yet. Two other points, because I know we're running out of time, that were brought up that I thought was new and fresh, is not just having a social monitoring plan, but have a social listening plan. I think groups is a great place for that, because as people are going to have their own dialogues happening within it, you're able to listen and also listen throughout, not just monitoring what people are saying and responding, but having an active social listening plan. So you're listening to what your tribe or what your ideal audiences are saying online. You're hearing some of the things that they're talking about, and then you take note of that and think about, what do we do with this information that we have? How do we present this into what we do with our marketing, with our business, with our product, service, whatever? But invest in kind of a client happiness, social listening plan, in addition to just monitoring your social. And Jen Watson she spoke in Social Media Day Jacksonville, and she talked about also having kind of the flip side of that, a social media crisis plan, because you don't want to wait till a crisis happens and then figure it out. You have to have a plan in place ahead of time, no matter the business or industry. Crockpot was kind of a great example of that. This Is Us, we're the character died off through a crockpot. It wasn't even crockpot brand, but it was a crockpot kind of example that killed off a person on the show, and everybody went crazy online. They weren't expecting that to happen, right? They had no idea that this was going to be featured in there, but they, had a plan in place to kind of figure it out from there. And then Vivica, thing that wasn't talked about a lot at the conferences that I attended, but one thing that she brought up is talking about not discounting LinkedIn, especially LinkedIn video. And if you are especially a B2B brand that works business to business, think about how you can use LinkedIn, especially LinkedIn video, especially as all these LinkedIn changes are happening, not to discount it, and how to get involved with LinkedIn video, which I need to listen to that advice. I started off so well and then dropped off.
No, seriously. Yeah. If LinkedIn is doing well with some of their algorithms, with engagement, those types of pieces. So it feels like Facebook pages of a few years back.
Yeah, absolutely. I know this is a lot that we're throwing out of all the things we're talking about. We're trying to cover like all the social media days, but I want to just recap the main points I heard at all the social media days through the ones I've attended and the ones I've just listening online, and what I've heard as kind of a consistent key of what's happening in social.
And shout out to guys like Ross and Mike, Ross Brand and Mike, who are living, practicing, what they talked about. They do things online, but here they are in the midst of their busy day, supporting us by, coming in and adding value in our, community life here. So that's what's all about. So special shout out to them, and I'll let you keep going.
No, absolutely. Ross Brand, phenomenal. Both, and Mike, phenomenal. Thank you so much for all the support leading up to the event and sharing it out and afterwards. These guys are amazing. If you guys have not connected with those two guys yet, find their name in the chat, connect with them, because they are great humans to be connected with. But so time to get our hands dirty. The easy cheesy way of doing social is over. You can't just share out, regurgitated content and expect it to work. You have to get your hands dirty and make your content meaningful. Focus on building relationships. Think micro moments to create a macro impact. Like, think one little connection, one conversation can lead to big things. Don't worry about trying to, please everyone. Focus on the relationships that are right in front of you and make it meaningful. Look at ways like using live video and immersive technologies like AR, VR, if it's right for your brand, to create those relationships and more meaningful content. And then focus on real people doing real things, whether that's you working with micro-influencers, sharing your customers and client story, or you showing behind the scenes of what you're doing, but real people doing real things are what people want to see. You want to give people access to your brand and make it easy for them to do that. And things to be on the lookout for are Instagram and chatbots and just video in general. So those were the big themes that I heard across the board. Anything I missed, Mike?
No, I think that I think you covered them, and we talked about some of the key pieces, and then some of the tactics, some of the ways that you maximize your content, longer form blog posts that Mike said, and some of the things about, the omni content that Brian Fanzo talked about. So just lots of good things. As always, I mean, social continues to change, social continues to evolve, and it's events like this and kind of the recaps of those, which kind of keep you up to date, which lets you, hopefully it stirs some ideas. So your job now is to take some of these thoughts and kind of reflect on them, jot them down, and say, okay, how does this apply to our company, to our brand, to what we're doing online, and kind of cross that bridge to your own venue and say, what do I need to try? What do I need to do, to tweak, to add to?
Yeah, really good point. Because that, like Ashley Thompson said, your business better than anyone else. That's your superpower, and you take the things that you hear and think, how does it apply to what we're doing? So yeah, great social media day overall. I'm still buzzing from all the in real life connections and just hanging out with everyone. It was amazing. If you have not attended a social media day event, I highly encourage you to find one that's maybe close to you or one that, you want to attend. Social Media Week Lima. I'm just kidding.
There we go.
but Social Media Week Lima will be back next year. And our theme next year is actually craveable.
Craveable. All right.
Craveable, creating an irresistible brand. How can you make your brand craveable, leaving people wanting more from you? So all the speakers that we're bringing in will align with that theme. And I hope to have you back next year, Mike, again, to be your 5th year. And then we'll have to really outdo ourselves with your bobblehead. Maybe we start making your family or something.
Yeah.
A little bobblehead collection.
Yep.
All your family. But any last finishing thoughts, Mike?
Keep after it, folks. I think that it's time to dig in, and it's time to experiment, and it's time to use these things. We talked briefly about IGTV, so if you haven't explored that a little bit, take some time this next week to do it. And by all means, let us know how it's going. Your Magnet Marketers page, comment on this post, comment on that post. We want to hear about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for joining in. Gail, I see that you are in here. Thank you so much for joining in. Again, Mike Alton, Ross Brand, Cameron, Trey Wheeler, Mike Reynolds, Jeff Donnelly. Great to have all of you guys here live with us. Diamond and Amber Rose, thank you so much for joining in as well. We hope to see you guys here next week. We'll be back same time on our regular schedule now, every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our goal is always to help you become a magnet with your marketing versus being a bullhorn. If you've not signed up already, you can go to magnetmarketers.com and sign up to be notified of what our topic is going to be, and you will get the replay after. So thank you guys so much for coming back and joining with us as our first week back after a month kind of hiatus. We are now on Be Live TV, so we have a way of streaming. So we'll be coming to you next week with Be Live TV as well. This seemed to work out great, Mike. We figured it out. So
it's always a plus when we get the technology squared away, and we got it. Yeah, so that's good.
We got it. We didn't have any surprises like, oh, no, we don't connect to Facebook anymore as we're getting to go live. But thank you guys again for joining in with us. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your week, building stronger relationships. Thanks, Mike, as always, for joining in with me. I hope you have a good rest of your week as well.
Right. Take care. See ya.